Hey guys, what's up? It's Cole. The patch 6.4 patch notes have just been updated to include the job changes that are coming, and so this video is going to be honed in on just those details. Paladin is going to be up first, and we're looking at both quality of life changes as well as damage changes. And so the goal of the Paladin buffs is really just to bring them up in line with other tank jobs. Dark Knight. So we're looking at potency increases, but they're only going to be like by 20, but you're going to be using them so much that it is going to be shifting up a little bit. But we're looking at Riot Blade increased by 20 potency. We're going to be looking at Circle of Scorn increased by 20 potency, Royal Authority 20 potency, Atonement. If you guessed 20 potency, you'd be correct again. And then with that, we're looking at two quality of life changes. The first one is Divine Veil's radius is being doubled from 15 to 30 yards, which is going to be great because you want to be able to hit everyone with that. So this is just a nice quality of life, so that one person out in Narnia will get a buff. Oh, Narnia. And then Atonement is gonna also not break your combo, so you know your 1-2-3 combo, you can use Atonement and it's not gonna break it, which is gonna be great. Next up is the Warrior, and it's really falling in toe and toe with the Paladin here. We're looking at a bunch of little potency increases throughout their kit. So we're looking at potency increases to Storm's Path, Storm's Eye, Fell Cleave, Upheaval. It's really gonna be quite decent, but they seem to be kind of spread out. Like if you look at Inner Chaos, which was the one ability I forgot to mention, its potency's been increased by 10, Storm's Path is by 10, so it seems that they're putting more of the potency increases inside of Fell Cleave and Upheaval, which I think is really cool because Fell Cleave is kind of iconic for the Warrior after all these years. There are 1,000 jokes I could make here, but man, Fell Cleave. But again, potency changes are not going to be game breaking. We're not going to see the Warrior out DPS a Machinist, for instance, right now, but it's just to bring it in line with Dark Knight. Similar to Divine Veil, Shake It Off is now going to get to 30 yards, which is going to be good. And then if you're looking at the Vengeance skill, it has like these like vulnerability down combined with the Vengeance status effect. So Vengeance, as everyone who plays Warrior knows, is a damage mitigation button, but it also gives a tiny bit of potency reflected back to attackers. I kind of wish that they would expand that mechanic because I think it's cool, but basically this is just merging it into one buff icon. Dark Knight, following the other tanks, is getting its effect radius of its party-wide mitigation. Dark Missionary increased from 15 to 30 yards. But since Dark Knight has been just the top of the pack in terms of tank DPS, it's not getting DPS boosts. It's kind of raising everyone to Dark Knight's level. Dark Knight is dead. How long is it going to take until people say that? Good God. Dark Knight is fine. It's very, very good now. Now for Gunbreaker, you could probably guess it. A little bit of potency increases specifically to Keen Edge and Brutal Shell. We're looking at 30 potency increase in both of them. We're going to be looking at Heart of Light's radius being increased to 30 yards as well. Monk is just falling in line with everything. I think that I'm just going to start saying it really quick is, yeah, this class has a buff. It was increased to 30 yards. Monk had Mantra and Brotherhood. They're 30 yards. I'm going to just keep doing that for now because I'm blowing it too much. Dragoon has a buff called Battle Litany. 30 yards. Jump has now been changed where it's executed while bound, and what the ability does is it's going to just like, how to say it, the character's position is going to remain where jump was cast. The camera's not going to really be following you either when your character is going to execute jump, just to like make sure that you know, hey, it's not going to be that way. So like you can't jump at an enemy that has like a orange telegraph around them and get hit if you are not standing in the orange telegraph when you're casting jump. Now, what is a very nice buff is Dragon Sight now nullifies action direction requirements for yourself, and so that is definitely not what I expected to be reading here, but hey, if you want to just be like, I don't care where I'm facing, like on like the targeting ring, if I'm like flank or rear, hey, this ability now lets you do that. I think that's fun. I don't like positionals that much on melees. It's not what makes the melee fun for me. Like Dragoon is all about the tempo. I love the tempo Dragoon. Samurai doesn't have the biggest dick DPS. Okay, I guess we need to change that. So we're looking at a ton of very large buffs. Like the tanks, we were talking about like 20 or 10. The Samurai is getting 60 potency added onto Hisatsu Sene, Shoha, Ogi Namakiri, Keishi Namakiri, and man, that's going to be great. As well as for the AoE ability, the Tenka Goken, we are looking at its radius increased from 5 to 8 yards. Reaper has a buff, 30 yards. Range physical DPS have Peloton, that's a buff. Yep, 30 yards. See, I am going to try so hard to not laugh at my joke kind of dying here is because we are at Bard, and instead of all the effect radius being raised to 30 yards, well, Battle Voice was raised to 30 yards, Troubadour, Nature's Monet, and Radiant Finale but whatever. But we're looking at Mage's Ballad, Army's Paean, and Wondrous Minuet, the like 3 songs that you like shuffle around and play on repeat that you have like going all the time. They have been raised to 50 yards. 50. What the frig? But we're not looking at any like potency number changes here, so good quality of life changes. I mean, you'll battle voice the person out in Narnia. Machinist, I think, has been doing great since they got the added action and their numbers have been tweaked. I think that they're great. And obviously the devs do too, and so Tactician's just getting increased to 30 yards. Dancer has a lot of buffs that have just been increased to 30 yards. No damage change. Black Mage, which this is very interesting. Black Mage, they clearly didn't think was doing enough damage, so Enhanced Enochian is being increased by 2%, which in all reality, are you really going to notice a 2% difference unless you are like the absolute bleeding edge pinnacle player? No, you're not. Stop pretending that you won't. But it is going to definitely be a sizable buff that's going to definitely like skewed up the Black Mage a little bit, as well as the Xenoglossy buff. Xenoglossy got a 10% buff to it. Xenoglossy is a great ability. Black Mage will have higher damage. I don't know if the Black Mage was really struggling that much, but hey, I think it's a hard class to play. Why not? Summoner has a buff. Red Mage has buffs as well. But Red Mage, I do want to say right now, I'm kind of worried about Red Mage. I really thought that Red Mage was going to get buffs in these patch notes. I am actually sitting here kind of going, wait, what? What? There's no Red Mage damage buffs, what? I mean, Red Mage is amazing for prog. I love their ability to revive, although it is obviously hampered by mana requirements and all that, so I'm kind of shocked I'm not seeing a damage buff here, but moving on. Now, I've kind of memed about the range changes a little bit, but Asylum, and you're going to notice this as well with Scholar Sacred Soil, as well as with Astrologian's Divination and Collective Unconscious, they are getting a quite sizable radius increase. So Asylum has been increased by 50% to 10 to 15 yalms. If you think that this isn't big, think about, hey, I ordered like a 10-inch pizza and like the size of that. Okay, now think about it like a 15-inch piece. That thing is a lot bigger. This is going to be an amazing change. This is going to help so much during prog. It's going to be like, okay, if you're standing outside of the asylum at this point, you are probably needing to be put into an asylum. Like, it is so huge now. There's no excuse. But White Mage is also getting a love tap, like the most gentle love tap of potency increase to Dia. It's like an 8% DPS increase for specifically Dia. And then Temperance had its range extended to 50 yalms. Good lord. Narnia, it covers all of Narnia. Scholar, all of its little buffs, which there are a lot of them, like Deployment Tactics, has been increased to 30 yards. Seraphic Illumination, 30 yards. Expedient, 30 yards. That is all incredible. Like, especially Deployment Tactics, because oh my god, sometimes huddling people up for that is so bad, and if I miss the shield and you're probably fucking dead. I mean, if I'm just being serious, man. But now Sacred Soil, already talked about with the Silent with White Mage, huge. That is probably going to be one of the biggest things we're gonna see, because Sacred Soil is now gonna be one of the biggest things you're gonna see on the movie. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm being too stupid, but I mean, that's kind of just who I am. I'm a scholar. I'm hyped for that. Now, if you're not standing in the fucking soil and you die, don't bitch to me. That is you. Divination, 30 yarms, great. Narnia people will be happy. Collective Unconscious, kind of similar to before. It's just gonna be bigger. It's just like, now it's 8, now it's from 8 to 30. That's even bigger than the increase to 50. If you're not getting hit by an Astro's Collective Unconscious, you're bad. Now we're going through Sage. Sage is getting all those range buffs, but again, didn't have anything remotely close to Astro's Collective Unconscious or Asylum or Sacred Soil, so they weren't really impacted by that. But there are going to be nice things here, because it's just like, yeah, I'm looking at these 15-yard range things, and like in the first tier of this expansion when I was doing a lot more Sage, I can agree. Some of these, like if you were in Narnia, I had to be very cognizant if someone was away from them. I always was, even on Scholar, let's be honest. But like now, this takes away a lot of stress. Then for the Eucrasian Dosis buff, it's only rightfully 7%, but that's definitely not going to translate to 7% DPS increase for a Sage at all. Remember, this is just a dot, same as Dia. And then obviously they removed Celine from Scholar. Bro, I already got over that last expansion. I really like the fairies doing different things, but alas, the devs did not agree. With that, there's the job changes. I'm excited for 6.4. I hope you are too. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. See ya.